What if I told you that one of the greatest and most influential books ever written about war is actually a book about how to avoid fighting? What if its ultimate lesson is not how to crush your enemy in a bloody battle, but how to win so intelligently, so elegantly, that the conflict is over before it even begins? This is the profound and paradoxical wisdom at the heart of Sun Tzu's 2,500-year-old masterpiece, The Art of War. This is not a celebration of violence. It is a deep, philosophical, and intensely practical guide to the nature of conflict itself. Today on Geeky Philosopher, we are going to explore this ancient text, not as a manual for soldiers, but as a guide for strategists in all walks of life. We will learn how to apply its timeless principles to our own battles, in business, in our careers, and even in our own minds, to achieve our goals with the least amount of friction and the greatest amount of wisdom. The very first and most important principle of the book completely upends our typical idea of conflict. Sun Tzu writes, "To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill." This is the highest form of victory. The master strategist doesn't seek out glorious dramatic battles. They see open warfare as a kind of failure of planning, a failure of positioning, a failure of intelligence. You know, a bloody, hard-fought victory is still a victory, but it is a clumsy one. It comes at a great cost in resources, energy, and life. The truly supreme victory is the one that is won effortlessly, by maneuvering your opponent into a position where they have no choice but to concede, or where their will to fight has been broken before the first arrow is ever fired. The entire rest of the book is, honestly, a masterclass in how to achieve this elegant, bloodless victory. It is a philosophy that really prioritizes psychology over brute force and wisdom over aggression. The foundation of victory. Know thyself, know thy enemy. This is the most famous and most quoted line from the entire book, and it is the absolute foundation of all strategy. Sun Tzu writes, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle." This is not just a call for battlefield espionage, it is a call for deep psychological preparation. Knowing yourself means having a ruthless, objective understanding of your own strengths and weaknesses. What are your resources? What is your emotional state? What are your biases? You must be brutally honest with yourself. Knowing your enemy means understanding their character. What are their motivations? What are their fears? What are their habits? What is their political situation? You must understand them better than they understand themselves. When you have this complete 360-degree picture of the situation, the outcome is no longer a matter of chance. You can predict your opponent's moves, you can anticipate their reactions, and you can place yourself in a position where victory is the logical and inevitable outcome. The second great principle of Sun Tzu's philosophy is that all warfare is based on deception. The goal is to shape your opponent's perception of reality. You must be formless, mysterious, and unpredictable, while your opponent is made to be predictable. Sun Tzu gives us a beautiful list of these deceptions. When we are able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must appear inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make them believe we are near. This is a masterclass in psychological manipulation. It's about lulling your opponent into a state of complacency and arrogance, and then striking when and where they least expect it. So how does this apply to modern life? Well, in a business negotiation, you might feign indifference to the one clause that is actually most important to you. And in a career move, you might publicly focus on one project, while your real game-changing work is happening quietly behind the scenes. It's really the art of controlling the information, of managing perceptions, and, of never revealing your true intentions until the moment of decisive action. A common misconception is that a great strategist is a great gambler who takes big risks in the heat of battle. But Sun Tzu says the exact opposite. A master strategist takes no risks. He writes, "The victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory." What does this mean? Well, it means that the battle is won or lost before it ever begins in the planning and preparation phase. The victorious general spends weeks and months gathering intelligence, maneuvering their troops, securing their supply lines, and using deception to shape the battlefield. By the time the battle actually begins, they have created such an overwhelming positional advantage that their victory is a foregone conclusion. The fighting is just a formality. The defeated general, on the other hand, rushes into battle based on hope and emotion, and then tries to improvise their way to a victory that was never possible. This is a profound lesson for any major project or life decision. Don't rush into action. Do the hard, quiet, and often boring work of preparation. Do your research, build your skills, create your alliances, arrange the circumstances in your favor. Win the war on paper before you ever step onto the battlefield. Finally, Sun Tzu emphasizes that a master strategist must have a deep understanding of the terrain. In warfare, this is literal. You must understand the mountains, the rivers, the choke points. But in the Geeky Philosopher's view, terrain is actually a powerful metaphor for the entire context of any conflict. The terrain can be, the market conditions of a business. It can be the emotional state of a difficult conversation. And it can be the political landscape of your office. A foolish leader tries to apply the same strategy in every situation, but a wise leader understands that the terrain really dictates the strategy. You do not attack uphill, and you definitely do not fight in a swamp. This is a call to be a student of your environment. It requires you to be adaptable, flexible, and to have a deep, intuitive feel for the situation you are in. You must understand the ground you stand on before you can ever hope to win on it. The art of war has endured for over 2 millennia because it is not a simple manual for violence. It's actually a deep, Taoist-influenced philosophical guide to the nature of conflict itself. It teaches us that the greatest victory is a bloodless one. It shows us that true strength is not found in aggression, but in preparation, in patience, and in a profound psychological understanding of ourselves and others. It is a book that respects the complexity of the world. It is a call to be more like water, to be adaptable, to be formless, and to find the path of least resistance to our goals. The ultimate lesson of Sun Tzu is that the greatest battles are won not with the sword, but with the mind. And, the greatest warrior is the one who never has to fight at all. The principles in this ancient text are a powerful toolkit for navigating the conflicts and challenges of our own lives. It's really a guide to becoming a more thoughtful, more patient, and more effective strategist. If you are someone who believes in the power of deep thinking, in the wisdom of preparation, and in the art of winning with grace and intelligence, then you are a student of this philosophy. Consider subscribing to Geeky Philosopher, where we are dedicated to exploring the timeless strategies that help us win life's most important battles. Thank you for your time.